Greetings, I'm Joel Jacobson, and this is Daniel Atlas. We're both from Evolve Ministry. Daniel, just confirm for me that you can hear me. Yeah?
Yes, I heard you. I can hear you.
Okay. So, I have labored for the last 5 months getting this nutrition curriculum together. I have some good good skills at doing that. I've learned through my military service. I did construct and did teach a course, 3 courses actually, through my whole period of time serving towards the end of my service. And I learned how to gather all kinds of information and put them in a curriculum type of base so people can learn from start to finish and make sense out of the process. And it's been an interesting development since I've been self-mastering nutrition, and I'm actually an evidence for you guys, proof that you can self-master nutrition on your own. And I've been doing it for the last 3 years. Being born and raised in Israel, I didn't really have much access to as much resources as anybody else. The country is pretty small. The circumstances that I grew up in, the fact that I went to the military and I didn't know what to do with my life later, with no sense of direction at all, but with the idea that I have experienced astral projection and I know that there's more to life than there really has been said. I started investigating on my own, researching about metaphysical things, and then later on I realized, like, what would be the best start for me as somebody who wants to heal others. Reiki was great. I did some of that, but then I found out that I lacked this whole understanding of the physical aspect of nourishment, and so I took it upon myself through a certain type of circumstance, reiterating something that somebody told me about sugar being bad, and thinking that that was correct. And while I was saying it to some customer at work, I found out later that it was not correct, and I felt ashamed, and that pretty much propelled me to take it upon myself to learn on my own and gather as much information as I can, and then go and approach somebody who might be able to guide me further. And so I did start with that, and because I was living in Israel and there was tons of information online in English, I thought what would be better than to take all that bulk of information and translate it into Hebrew. So I did that, and I have a Hebrew blog with like 60, 70 articles inside, and I still am growing it because since the last article that I've published, it's been a year, and there's been tons of things that I've researched and I've comprehended, and I translated a lot of knowledge into wisdom, which is pretty much what this course is about. It's translating knowledge into wisdom. You could be accumulating tons of data, raw material, but if you can't take that and construct a beautiful mosaic out of the little pieces, then you're left with a puzzle that doesn't fit. And the idea of the course is to give you pieces of the puzzle and construct a picture that would make more sense to you, and it's going to bridge the whole aspect of the physical and the metaphysical, because they have to work. This is a world where both exist and they have to work. To begin with, I'd like to do a 10-minute meditation, because you guys are just starting to see this, and it's a good opportunity to get into contact with the whole aspect of the metaphysical nourishment. And it is through meditation, through slowing down the rate of thought in order to relax the cellular body that we have. And so let us start. To begin with, close your eyes, and I will do that with you. And take a deep breath, and comfortably gain your presence in your own rhythm. Now to focus your attention, move your attention towards the feeling of your body, how it feels wherever you are sitting, whether it is on a chair or lying down. Just feel your body on that surface, that gravity that is holding you down towards that surface. And we can start with first thinking of your feet. Just place all your attention in your feet and breathe. Inhale and exhale. Now bring your attention upwards to your knees. With every breath, every inhale and exhale, you inhale some energy and a life urge of love, and you exhale, just letting go of all the tension. Letting your breath be the symbol of the rate of the energy movement, and letting the muscles, the tension, be a symbol of the relaxation that your body is going through. Bring that attention up to your hips. Just be with your hips and feel them. Note any changes in warmth or changes in any type of feelings that you might have internally. Now, start ascending up your spine and up your stomach, and kind of inhaling there and exhaling, letting go, being connected to your rhythm. Bring that rhythm with you wherever you go as you ascend upwards to your stomach, to your rib cage. Fill it up with breath, and the breeze, the wind. Bring your attention to your chest and feel your breath expanding throughout your chest, even the upper chest. Bring your attention to your shoulders. Bring the attention down to your elbows. To your wrists. And to your fingers and fingernails and out through your fingers. Just letting that energy let go and ooze out. Bring your attention to your neck. Notice any changes in your body, in your posture. And just lovingly inhale and bring that energy upwards to the base of your skull. Send that attention to your jaw. Inhale through your jaw. And exhale. It is one of our most used parts of our body, whether it is from talking or from chewing. Bring that attention upwards to the top of your mouth, your nose, to your eyes, to your forehead. Inhaling all that beautiful and loving energy into the rest of your skull. Now take a deep breath. And exhale. And now as you inhale, declare, I am love. And as you exhale, declare, I love. And send it unconditionally to all corners of your being and the environment that surrounds you. Now connect again to that affirmation and affirm that I am love, and inhale. Let the emotion carry that truth. And exhale, unconditionally spreading your love to all corners of your body, which includes the body of your environment. Now note how you feel inside your body. You feel calmer, I want you to imagine yourself as the Earth, planet Earth, this big sphere, beautiful enough to carry such large volumes of life. And visualize the composition of the Earth itself. It's 75% water, oceans and seas, and 25% of it is going to be land. That can equate to the same composition of the subconscious mind being 75% of who you are at the moment, of Earth evolution and the evolution of mankind, and 25% be the conscious and aware self. That aspect of the macrocosm that is the Earth is mirrored in its life, and it's microscopic in the microcosm life, like our cells, which is composed of 75% water and 25% dry matter. Open your eyes. Cool. All right. So I'm thankful for this opportunity to be with you guys and to guide you through this meditation. It's very simple. We can all do it every day for 10 minutes, even less. So when it comes to the microcosm and the macrocosm, as I was kind enough to describe and visualize you through the process, we are definitely a microcosm of the macrocosm. Our cells themselves have a certain type of composition, as do our environment itself has a composition of gases. Let's say 75 to 80% of the atmosphere would be nitrogen, and the rest would be, a big portion of it would be oxygen. The same thing is the composition of our cells being, if you take a look at the dry matter of a cell, 75% of it, if 25% of the cell is dry matter, then 75% of the dry matter would be this proteins, these nitrogen-based building blocks. And so our interconnectivity with the composition of the environment is unmistakable. We are definitely a mirror and a fractal reflection of this larger organism that we are inhabiting. And right now, as the organism is populated by tons of humans, and that population is definitely thinking in terms that are not sustainable, that are not healthy for it. This is the composition of humans that we are right now in evolution and on this planet, and it mirrors and it reflects the stage of evolution of this planet. And as we are entering this stage in our life where we begin to self-master ourselves, taking responsibility for our capacity to self-educate and to self-direct ourselves, and to gain more self-consciousness, self-confidence, self-esteem, all these attributes that help us gain more presence within directing our life and making ourselves more fulfilled, which is pretty much what we always seek fulfillment, whether it is through dreams that we are wish fulfilling, or whether we seek it truly inside this physical dream world where we do seek fulfillment. And so since this is a very intricate and very interesting world, we do have the law of karma, and this law of karma, which is cause and effect, and also stimulation and expression. We eat stuff and we are affected by it. And I've done plenty of experimentations on myself. I would uncover tons of information and find out that this is what science is saying is the right way to eat. But is this the right way that I should be eating? I should discover for myself. So what I did was that I repeatedly subjected my body to conditions that were not too healthy, in order to note how this substance, whether it's sugar or tobacco or some vegetables, how they affect me internally, and how this affects the stimulation that they do to my cellular organism, how they transmute and translate this to a more psychological behavior as I am animating the behavior of all my cells. So that is all kinds of things that I pondered upon, and they brought me to a very interesting place in life. And I'm sure that plenty of you out there have noticed how drinking more water, you feel when you hydrate yourself, that feels a lot better. Or eating certain substances can give you more energy, or in some would give you some energies, but instead of having a level of energy that is steady throughout the day, you find yourself in a roller coaster of ups and downs and ups and downs. And those are not just happening. Those are reactions. There's an action that you placed in. There's a physical, symbolic handling of a substance and ingesting it. And through the study of yoga, you know that yoga is the whole science of union, and becoming unionized, unifying yourself with a substance, taking it and ingesting it, is that whole aspect of taking food, breaking it apart and dispersing it across all your body. And that is the union that we get. And so the idea is, does this substance, when we unify with it, what are our thoughts towards it? What are our emotions? And what is our relationship with that? And so not only what is our relationship with that, but eventually what happens to us after we ingest it? I mean, do we get energy, or do we not get energy and we feel even worse? Those are all kinds of questions that we always impose on ourselves. And if not consciously, then we worry about this stuff. And the worrying mind is a lot more destructive, self-destructive, than a mind that is consciously aware of what substance you put inside and how you think about it and how you feel about it and how it eventually, what you're going to do with that substance when you ingest it. Is there certain type of effect that you want? I mean, you're going to go out to run. Do you need some energy for it? Or are you aware that you have enough energy reserves in your body? You can go out running, and then when you come back, what kind of foods do you think are going to allow you the better integration of that workout, post-workout? And so, well, the idea of the microcosm and the macrocosm, where we take a look at the cell and it's 75% water, meaning that everything that operates inside a cell has to be operating inside this liquid, this water. And take into consideration that 25% of it is dry matter. Have you ever fathomed the idea of maybe the amount of food that you ingest? It does not have to always be this dry matter. You don't always have to be eating tons of dry food, but rather focus on implementing the idea of how hydration in the process of the food consumption is very beneficial for us. And that is why I practice throughout my day, eating something dry with something like a liquid, whether it is a juice, some kind of a smoothie, or just water. And I usually just do water because the dry matter itself is going to deliver all that nutrients. And so I take a little bite and I add in some water, so it can be a lot more broken down a lot more easily in the process of gross digestion that we use with our mouth. And that prepares the digestion when it reaches the stomach. And so whatever you do, the first action that you do is the most important. And that is really the most important aspect of nutrition, is taking the first conscious step of nourishment, is what substance you hold and how well you prepare it for your body to receive it. And so your plate doesn't necessarily have to be all these chunks of food that are cooked or raw, but there can be a certain type of small portion of food that is dry, and then have something to wash it down with, or not exactly wash it down with, but to be able to chew it with, hydrate it with. And that aspect helps you bring more water into your body, while also help you hydrate, as dehydration is one of the aspects that really stumps our digestion, really stumps our brain cells. And the first part of our body that is affected by a drought in the body is your brain cells, and they will let you know if whether you become foggy, or you're unable to follow something while you're reading something, or you become lazy or drowsy or anything like that. Those are all signs. The last sign that says that you are dehydrated is a dry mouth. The moment you have a dry mouth, that means that you have been already dehydrated for the longest time. So the aspect of your plate can mirror the macrocosm of your cell, and your cell is mirroring the macrocosm of the planet. And so when you take that fractal mirror effect, bringing it down all the way to your behavior, to your actions, to your choices, I find it for myself, it's been so much more nourishing, but not only nourishing, more comfortable for me, as I don't overwhelm myself with food and then feel bloated and crappy throughout the day. But I feel also hydrated because the food can be accessed, since all the nutrients, all the enzymes that have to get to the food, they have to travel through a liquid form. They can't just travel through tons of debris. It's kind of like going up to space and you have all these asteroids, and you're trying to go to mine this one asteroid that's full of gold, but this asteroid that's full of gold has all these obstacles in its way. If you could just add more space in between these asteroids, you'll be more comfortable instead of colliding with them and causing a lot of trouble for your away team, for your mining team. So there's a lot of wisdom when you apply all kinds of metaphors and analogies into how food and how nutrition, how practices of nutrition operate. And so when it comes to nutrition self-mastery, and this is really our topic today, I want to welcome you to this opportunity to self-master it. I've labored on this introductory course, and I've spent the last 2 years, 3 years, just imagining the opportunity to educate people about this stuff. Like, if we could all understand how practices in our daily life can mirror health, and how ignorant practices that we do are causing us suffering. If we could learn those practices that could help us, then we have a strategy. We have an opportunity to choose between a path that is more effortless and more health-giving, or a path that is leads more to some kind of struggle. And we definitely had enough struggle in our life. I know that I have. And so when it comes to nutrition, the course itself is built with 9 lessons, including a 10th, not a lesson, but a final exam. And those lessons are there to build you up through understanding the subatomic worlds, through understanding physics, chemistry, and biology, all those, and then introducing some psychology into the whole equation. Those help you, help me, and helps you, and hopefully will help you, as I will love to guide you, and anybody who is masterful in this information will be able to be there to guide you through the process of integrating that knowledge to wisdom. And wisdom is the highest form of knowledge. Most traditional cultures out there, they live by wisdom, traditional wisdom. And all that traditional wisdom has been wiped out of our world, out of our lives, out of our legacies and families, because for the last 100 years, there's been all this technological advancement and the brainwashing of tons of people and to believing a certain type of concept, like cholesterol is bad for you, but not understanding what is cholesterol and how cholesterol works inside your body, and how every cell in your body creates cholesterol anyway. So why the hell are you even trying to stop cholesterol in your body if your body's going to create cholesterol anyway? So there's a lot of play in people's health in the industry out there, and this course is here to empower you, to really empower you, to give you the tools through knowledge, and taking those knowledge concept by concept, building small concepts and creating larger concepts eventually, which will give you that wisdom. And so I'd like to invite anybody who's here, and I know Daniel Atlas is here, and I want to ask, how does one benefit from studying nutrition?
Well, personally, camera going to work? Okay, there we go. Um, personally benefiting from it, the way I look at it is if you understand how the foods we put in our body, the water we put in our body, how our body utilizes it, just like you said, you went through some extraneous experiences to understand. I've done that as well. And as we understand that, we understand what foods our body accepts and what foods our bodies don't. For me personally, I've kind of been addicted to sugar for a while, and I've been transitioning from processed sugar to eating more fruits. And with your help, Joel, you've mentioned some other ways as far as anti-inflammatory foods and cooling foods. And so I've been experimenting with certain fruits and types of sugars, natural sugars and sweeteners, to see how my body reacts. And it's actually been an interesting journey, because I have been taking the processed sugar out of my diet a lot, and eating more apples and dates and grapes and citrus fruits. And I notice I have, one, a lot more energy. Two, my thoughts have been more clear. Sometimes if I eat foods that are too cool, like salad and a lot of raw, like vegetable, like leafy greens, like kale, I get too analytical in my thinking. So steaming them is also a good way, because the steaming in the heat from that helps ground all of the sometimes chaotic energy I have in my mind. So I'm able to concentrate. I'm able to get more done. Sometimes when we eat too much sugar or have too much coffee, we're kind of anxious. And so I've figured out by cutting down on sugar in the first place, my anxiety has lessened. And then on top of that, the warming foods, or the warming foods and better digestion has also added to that. So just a little experience for myself, but to add on to mastering nutrition, understanding how food is processed, how the body breaks that down and provides energy for us. I mean, I'm still learning this, but it helps me understand why my body reacts to certain foods, why my mind changes based upon what I eat. And so if we can understand nutrition at the, let's say, cellular level, which from some of the stuff I've seen you do, Joel, you take it down to the cellular level, like the importance of the mitochondria, the importance of, I think it was the absorption of nutrients through the cell wall, the cell membrane. That helps me understand, just like, how other entities or other beings on this planet, we breathe through our skin as well, not just our lungs. We breathe through our skin. So if you understand by breathing or digesting, eating cleaner foods, our bodies will process in a cleaner way, more optimum way. So I would definitely agree with you that the more we know about how our bodies work, whether it's with food or meditation or exercise, understanding adrenaline or understanding serotonin levels, understanding cortisol levels, and how all of that affects us, we can really gain control of how our body operates, our digestive, our natural body system, circulatory system, respiratory system, the way our thoughts are, why certain foods or certain triggers change our moods, and why things trigger our ego. And a lot of things, it's like we don't always pay attention to that, but by mastering nutrition, you learn to master the body, you learn to master the mind. And to me, it all goes hand in hand. So I think that is what I want to say about that. I could go in a couple different directions, but I just want to stay with that, and hand it back over to you or anyone else who is here.
Yeah, well said, brother. It was thank you for your for sharing all that. That's really good. Your path is not different than a lot of other people on this planet. Too many people have been growing up in an environment that's very junk food based, lots of sugar. I myself have my own lessons that I've learned from sugar consumption, and then also my sugar withdrawal and sugar cleansing, getting getting past that.
And I would, sorry to interrupt, but the sugar cleansing is a much difficult process. Like, it's just like it is a drug. So as you take it out of your system, I mean, just like any other drug, your emotions go a little bit crazy. Your ego goes a little bit crazy. Your body goes a little bit crazy because it's getting different input. Mm-hmm. And so you have to learn, okay, I have this feeling, breathe. Your breath is your greatest tool to understanding how the body works, how to calm things down. So just take it as a signal as well, not necessarily like, oh my God, I need sugar. It's a signal.
Yeah.
So you don't do anything with it.
Yeah, totally. And the aspect of, sugar consumption by itself, I remember when I stopped consuming sugar, just because I have my own story of how that happened. And when that happened to me and I decided, okay, I want to stop eating sugar to see whether this is going to benefit me health-wise, because I was going through some kind of health crisis. And as I did that, and I took out other types of forms of food that are hidden sugars. I mean, lots of starches out there. They are hidden sugars. We don't really consider them as a sugar, but they are digested down in the stomach into a sugar, and they'll be uptaken into your bloodstream as a sugar. So they equate as a sugar. They're no different as a sugar. Your body is going to metabolize them the same way, and your body is going to react to them the same way. Now, I remember when I stopped consuming sugar, and after a while, my sense of smell heightened so much that I started smelling sugar whenever I walked past it. And it was in my brain actually gave me those signals, warning signals, like, no, that's too high of a dosage. Don't touch that chocolate. Okay, stay away from that. This is going to be too lethal for you. It passes the amount of sugar that you can consume at one point, all at once. Yeah. Well, the aspect of withdrawal, when we take into account that, okay, we want to get off of sugar, nutrition, understanding nutrition and how the body metabolizes stuff, and then also how not only do we consume things, but we also, we don't only have one end that consumes things, but we also have one end that expels things. Our body is always going to intake energy and expel energy. It's going to take the energy in, transmute that energy into something that we can use, integrate it within us, burn it or whatnot, or store it for later burning, and then expel it. And that is the whole aspect of our, if you look at it as a spiritual aspect, people want to be receiving or getting as much as they want to give, and finding the balance in that. So if your body is not able to mirror that balance through the intake, the quality intake and the quantity intake, and also the quality and quantity elimination, expelling it outwards, giving it back to the earth, then if something is wrong in the pipings, then that is first sign that should say, warning, whatever you're doing right now is not benefiting you, and you probably would suffer a little along the way. But if you do stop that, you might as well start gaining more wisdom how to benefit your organs and that process of digestion and elimination, and then eventually being able to intake and expel in the same rate, so you can be balanced and you can feel good throughout the day, and you won't feel constipated and you won't feel bloated, and you'll have you can go outside, play with the wind as we do. And when you do that, you won't feel gases, you won't feel constipated, and you won't feel terrible, and the space that you feel good, you can literally, your performance is increased. When you feel good within your body, your performance goes up. And it is your relationship internally to the externally that makes that connection happen, that I've seen happen numerous times through my training days. And people can actually see some proof of my work through the demonstrations that I've done. And those are things that really do impact. Food does impact performance, and we all know that already. And so that is an aspect of nutrition that I understood early on. That if I'd like to heal others, I have to heal myself first. I have to understand and master my organism, because this organism is the same organism in everybody else. And when everybody else can learn from you as an example, somebody who takes seriously how his body, his temple is operating, and how to use this instrument to the highest degree, we can not just liberate this planet, but liberate yourself from this thought of the planet not being liberated. Okay, once you heal yourself, then you can go out and heal others. Nobody can, not a single person can learn from a person who is not balanced. There has to be some kind of blueprint of balance, a mirror of balance for somebody to look up to and be like, wow, I can actually learn from this person. I'm going to come by and I'm going to try to learn whatever I can and form my own opinions and process it and then express it later in the ways that makes me feel fulfilled and better. Yeah. Cool. Do you have any more questions, Daniel?
I did before, but I think listening to you talk in this little discussion that we're having, I'm trying to think if, I don't remember them anymore. But I think going through your course and maybe some other outside discussions, when I remember more, you'll be able to help me with that. But just the fact that, there is a course available now through Evolved Ministry, definitely like that helps me because I go through all our courses as well. Because as a self-mastery practitioner and teacher, we need to understand as much of this world as we can, as much as we can about our own bodies. Because one, they do work similarly to everyone else, but each person kind of has their own, I guess, operating system. So we have our different, levels of RAM. We have our different levels of connections. We process things differently. So yeah, I think my whole thing at least is understanding how my body works to the best of my ability. And with nutrition mastery, we had talked about man's higher consciousness previously, and you had mentioned that, I think it was that book where man used to live high up in the clouds and we used to breathe and, eat basically the sons of the rays of the sun, and that's how we got our nutrition. And once we came down and started eating, that brought a little bit de-evolution, which I've looked into myself previous to knowing you and hearing about this book. But I think it's important that if we can master nutrition in that way, and understanding how our body utilizes these nutrients, we can begin to produce those nutrients again on our own. And I know personally from my own experiences from doing yoga and fasting and not necessarily sun gazing, but being outside, we can absorb the sun's rays and use the ambient energy, use the energy we get from yoga or meditation or walking barefoot on the earth. We can absorb all of these, let's call them nutrients. Maybe, the medical world won't call them nutrients, but they actually help us in the way we live our lives. I know personally, when I walk barefoot in the forest, I get a ton of energy that way. It also works with acupressure points on the bottom of our feet, so we have an aspect of reflexology. But just putting my feet on the ground is incredibly uplifting and incredibly enlivening. And there's just all of these different methods and modes of not consuming, but transferring energy, I guess, or producing energy, So as when we're doing aerokinesis, we don't want to be using our own energy because there's ambient energy around us. The trees and plants are giving off energy that we can borrow. So if we can energize our bodies, ourselves, in the optimal way, we don't have to use our energy in our daily lives. We can keep that level of vitality and interact with what's going on around us in the most positive and most convenient way.
Yeah.
So not convenient, but
yeah, and those are a lot of concepts that not a lot of people are very familiar with. I know if I was 3 years ago, if I was anyway exposed to somebody who would be able to teach this kind of stuff, I would be befuddled. I wouldn't know where to start. I would need a certain type of curriculum to start from. And that is why I made this introductory course for nutrition, to lay down the foundation, because the whole aspect of breatharianism, which may or may not be true, I know for myself my own opinions, and you can go and ask me later, and then I can give you a good explanation of what I think, which may take a while because we'd have to cover a lot of information to make sure. But the idea of the course is to lay a foundation. This foundation allows a person to not be misguided by somebody else's opinion about nutrition. Mm-hmm. It's to form your own opinion by getting the raw data, going through it, gaining your own wisdoms, and processing it over some time, and then being able to tackle larger concepts like veganism, raw food, how cooked foods and raw foods, what their effect on the body is, and what detoxification does to the body. Like if you just go straight ahead and say, oh, detoxification does this, without understanding what it really does on the cellular level and how to maximize your elimination and going through the withdrawal in the most ease as you can. If you don't have the foundation, you're found kind of looking for people's opinions out there, reading articles and basing your opinion on these articles that are always going to be a fraction of what you should know. A fraction. If you don't take it to the next level of self-mastering nutrition, you will always remain in this rudimentary level of what's called the de-evolved man, who has descended from the heavens in order, and right now is living a life of gluttony, of eating out of thinking that food sustains his body, but realizing that what was interesting in the book that you talked about was a higher man's higher consciousness, is that the author there, Hilton Otema, he says the first lines are, if atoms don't eat and molecules don't eat and cells don't eat, why does man insist on eating? And that is a very interesting question. When he posed that in the book, I was like, wow, now I want to read what he can say about that. And so I did, and there was a plethora of information there about the aspects of nutrition that surpass just food, and how certain types of food have a certain reaction in the body, but then how do you detoxify yourself from certain types of food so you don't have the craving for them? Why do I find myself craving for chocolate when I want to stop eating it, or craving my next cigarette if I want to stop consuming it? There's a certain type of chemical elimination in the body, and through that elimination, the whole spirit aspect of that object that we consumed is going to come forth, and is going to come back into your consciousness, whether it's subconsciously or consciously, and you'll get all those jitters and withdrawals and thinking, I gotta get this so I can stop this withdrawal syndrome, this feeling of withdrawal, and eventually you do go for the chocolate. But what allows you to maintain that state of detoxification where you don't fall back? And that is understanding how the body reacts, how the body takes in certain types of nutrients, and how it expels certain types of nutrients, and how to maximize your comfort through the process of cleansing your body from all that wastes. So the environment surrounding the cell would become more clear. And a clean environment for a cell gives the cell to have more of an opportunity to receive stimulus from the environment. The cell itself has tons of receptors on it. If there's too much debris around it and it's too mercury or too just too much garbage around, all these signals have a hard time reaching the cell. Not enough oxygen can reach the cell because there's just too much stuff in the way that the cell cannot get nourished properly. So when you start cleaning your body in a fashion that supports your system and doesn't send you out into like a huge suffering mode, and then you give up because you can't handle it, you go softly and slowly, as much as comfortable for you, understanding how the process works properly, and then eventually being able to eliminate that craving. And craving after craving, you can eliminate that in order to reach a state of pureness where you could one day be a liquidarian, be drinking, just be drinking, or be sun gazing all the time and getting your nourishment from there. Spending that half an hour of eating instead of gorging on stuff and swallowing it without chewing, you can slowly build up habits that are going to benefit you, and you won't be shocked by going from one diet to another diet, but slowly transitioning, slowly detoxifying yourself from one type of habit and incorporating a new type of habit that you allow yourself to be more beneficial. And when you progress through that, you can eventually reach a state where your cells are so clean, their environment is so clean that signals from the environment that have to do with things that you cannot see. Okay, your spiritual receptivity increases when your cells, when you as a receiver is clean. All this junk around you is clean, and once it's clean, you can receive more data, and it's more available to be interpreted by your brain, and you're able to integrate it more easily. Until then, if you cannot clean your internal environment properly, you're subject to a certain limited range of experiences. And the idea of nutrition self-mastery incorporated into this energy mastery that's found in evolved ministry is the whole idea of improving your understanding and your self-empowering you in that path where you are able to become your own master, your own person who can deal with things around you, giving you tools, techniques, understandings, wisdoms, eventually, so you won't be you won't fall in the cracks. You won't be swayed by somebody who can manipulate you, but you can be standing in a higher level of cleanliness and receptiveness, that you'll be able to experience everything that's been spoken about in any type of literature that you might be looking for. And that is the essence. That's where I like the idea of incorporating the first lesson in evolved ministry, the energy mastery, the understanding the ego, understanding how the ego operates is crucial for self-mastery of anything. Because once you understand that your mind can actually play tricks on you and can actually bring you down, and understanding how to clean your mind and cleanse yourself and prepare your body for the day, or for any type of margin of time where you're going to sit down and study, or sit down or stand around and play with the wind and be patient. If you can cleanse your mind properly by understanding how the ego operates, that is crucial. So when you do go and sit down and study the introductory course in order to self-master nutrition and be able to start your path on cleansing yourself and start your path on bettering your your eating habits, that will greatly aid you on your path, since you won't have all that obstacles of your mind keeping you away from educating yourself. Your mind can be the one thing that, the ego can be the one thing that can hold you back from your accomplishments in life. So understanding that, and then being able to incorporate that understanding in the fact that you can be sitting 8 hours and studying, but what stops you from studying can be a distraction, and understanding where those distractions come from and eliminating them properly or discharging them properly, which is what I teach as well. And that will be later on in the course. Yeah, you can be gaining lots of tools and lots of techniques to self-empower yourself in this path. Yeah. Cool. Sweet. Well, it's an hour passed since we began, and we accomplished pretty much a lot. I just want to finish this webinar with asking you guys if anybody is aware, or if you are here with me. Daniel, what is this?
I know that's like the emblem for health. It's the spine, DNA, and wings.
Yeah.
Caduceus, is that what it's called?
Caduceus. Yeah.
And so I think that has to do with the spine, the DNA as consciousness, and then I know when we reach a certain level of awareness or enlightenment, we have this thing in the back of our head. I forget what it's called right now. It'll open in an apparently.
Oblongata?
What?
The medulla oblongata?
Yeah. So, which is interesting because there's a lot of different ways you can interpret that. But on the spiritual or the real way, I guess. No, not the real way, but
conventional way?
The what?
The conventional way?
Yeah. There's other things, but it's a good symbol.
Yeah.
It has a spiral too, right?
It has a spiral in this design. It doesn't necessarily come with the rest. The caduceus itself is just the wings, the staff, and those two serpents intertwining through. So yeah, what you said is all very nice and true. And I just want to say that the medical establishment has adopted this symbol. It's a symbol from ancient Egypt, and it symbolizes balance, attaining balance. It's kind of like the kundalini that rises up to through your spine, through the column. And when it reaches the top, angel wings are spread open, and that is the sort of type of balance that you reach where you are fully developed. And that is what every medical establishment out there, every doctor, they aspire for balance in life. This is what it stands for. And not a lot of doctors out there are holding that oath of do no harm. And there's a lot of people out there who are being harmed by chemotherapy and by different practices that are not beneficial. And so it ends up where we have this abuse of human life. And when people are just thrown off by all this so much, by this conventional thinking, that eventually what they do is that we have people going for alternative methods of healing. And because people become more receptive for the healing in a more mind, body, and spirit integration, we have true healings happening. And it's not necessarily that I'm going to heal anybody. I'm not going to promise that, and you should never expect it from anybody of us. What I've learned is that 75% of the healing is done by you, and 25% of it is going to be kind of activated or initiated by me. So me as a practitioner, I'm going to help you start your healing process, but only the really majority of the healing is done by ourselves. Our minds have to adapt and heal itself. And nobody outside of yourself can heal the mind other than yourself. That's what I want to say about that. Cool. Well, this was wonderful. Thank you, Daniel, for coming. I hope anybody who has viewed this has had a good impression and a good experience listening in. I'm going to invite you guys also to, and I'm going to ask you, how does one benefit from studying nutrition? Yeah, if you guys can answer that, then maybe you're on the first step towards self-mastering it.
Yep. And I would like to say thank you, Joel, also for having me, I guess, be a part of this as well, and speaking. And one thing with that, seeing how nutrition, you can benefit from it, I also want to give you a task before you take the course or while you take the course to pay attention to what you eat and how it affects you. We can train ourselves to eat anything and use what our bodies, how do I say this? We can train ourselves to use the good parts of what we eat and discard the bad. But to be conscious of what food actually does to our body and to our mind, to our energy system, no matter if it's organic, if it's locally grown, whatever, if it's not good for your body, it doesn't matter. It's not good for your body. For me, I can eat a lot of different things, but I don't like spicy foods. It makes me too crazy. It gives me bad digestion. So I don't eat a lot of spicy foods. Mm-hmm. For Joel, it might be very different. This has been the way I've been my entire life. Spicy foods do not agree with me. So I give you the task or challenge or the adventure of seeing what foods work and what foods don't. You might have to take a break from a certain type of food to see how your body operates without it. That's what I've had to do, taking sugar and taking some raw veggies out or steaming them to see how my body digest them better, or I might have less flatulence or whatever. So that's a challenge. And I know with these things, when we start changing our diet, our patterns change, our ego can go crazy. But I challenge you to overcoming these things, testing your body, testing your mind. Don't do it in a negative way or something that actually harms you, but just experiment and see what works for you. So that is what I have to say. And I hope you guys have enjoyed this as well.
Well said, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cool. You guys have a lovely day. Cheers.
Enjoy the sunshine.
Yeah.